The Voxari representative stumbles over her words at the podium, her neural interface flickering ominously as 200 species of the Galactic Council watch with barely concealed contempt. This scene, playing out in the Grand Assembly Chamber of Nexus Prime, makes Eric Burns' stomach turn. As humanity's junior diplomatic attaché, he's witnessed his share of political maneuvering in the 5 years since humans achieved faster-than-light travel, but nothing like this. Yara, the Voxari delegate, reaches for her datapad with trembling fingers. Her species' distinctive crystalline skin catches the chamber's ambient light, a bitter reminder of their technological achievements. They were among the first to crack the FTL barrier. But that accomplishment means little now, as she struggles to recall the speech she perfected just yesterday. The Drachnid delegation, occupying their elevated seats with characteristic arrogance, activates the chamber's holoscreens. Historical footage begins playing, Voxari ships missing navigation points, diplomats forgetting treaty terms mid-negotiation, trade deals collapsing as representatives fail to remember their own proposals. Each clip draws more laughter from the assembled delegates. Eric shifts in his observer's seat, designated for non-voting species. His hands grip the armrests as he watches Yara's neural augmentation device pulse faster, its rhythm indicating an approaching memory reset. In less than an hour, she'll retain only her genetic memories. Everything else from the past day will vanish, a limitation that's earned her species their third-class status. The chamber's acoustics carry every whispered insult, every mocking comment to his ears. Inferior species, a Drachnid representative broadcasts telepathically, not bothering to shield his thoughts. They're lucky we let them maintain their FTL drives. Eric's datapad displays a message from his superior: maintain diplomatic silence. Remember our membership application. The words blur as he focuses on Yara's increasingly desperate attempts to complete her status elevation petition. Her neural interface flashes red 15 minutes until reset. The situation strikes too close to home. Humanity faces similar prejudices, their achievements dismissed because they lack telepathy, advanced cybernetics, or extended lifespans. The Council's species classification system, supposedly based on objective criteria, looks more like institutionalized prejudice with each passing moment. Yara reaches the section about her people's contributions to early FTL development. Her voice falters as the neural interface warns of imminent reset. The Drachnid delegation projects another historical failure onto the screens, and the chamber erupts in fresh laughter. Eric's hand hovers over his speaking request button. One press would give him the floor and likely destroy humanity's chance at full council membership. The decision weighs on him as Yara's neural interface counts down her remaining minutes of consciousness, each flash a reminder of the choice between diplomatic safety and moral necessity. Eric's finger descends on the speaking request button. The soft chime of his request echoes through the chamber, cutting through the ripples of derisive laughter. 200 pairs of eyes, optical sensors, and sensory organs turn toward the human observers section. Senior Counselor Drakthvar's scaled head swivels toward Eric's position. The observer species representative lacks standing to address this assembly, he broadcasts, his telepathic message dripping with disdain. Eric's neural interface connects to the chamber's communication network as he rises from his seat. The interface hums against his temple, its familiar weight grounding him as he steps forward. Under Charter Section 47 Beta, I invoke emergency speaking privileges. A new presence enters the neural network. Ambassador Hunter, Weilong's digital signature appearing from Earth's embassy. The Charter's founding principles explicitly allow for intervention in cases of demonstrated prejudice. I second Attaché Burns' request. The Chamber's holofields shift, displaying the relevant Charter text. Drakthvar's facial scales flatten in obvious displeasure, but the rules leave no room for debate. Eric strides toward the central podium where Yara sways, her crystalline skin dulling as her neural interface pulses faster. Eric's own interface connects to the Council's historical archives. The familiar sensation of data streaming through his consciousness steadies his nerves as he begins the projection sequence. Next to the Drachnid's mockery reel, a new display materializes the first successful Voxari FTL jump, their pioneering work on automated navigation systems, the revolutionary breakthroughs that transformed interstellar shipping. The Voxari's supposed limitation drove innovation. Eric projects through the chamber's communication network. Their daily neural reset created unique advantages. Red warning symbols flash across his vision as Drachnid security protocols attempt to sever his archive access. The connection wavers, then stabilizes as Dr. Reynolds' counter-protocols engage from the data center. This is an unauthorized access violation, High Chancellor Kexler announces, rising from his elevated seat. Security drones remove the human representative. Metallic spheres detach from the chamber's ceiling, descending toward Eric's position. But before they can reach him, new voices join the neural network. The Centaurian delegation supports the human representative's right to present evidence, announces Ambassador Nxtli, their bioluminescent skin pulsing with emphasis. The Proxima Coalition concurs, adds their chief delegate, triggering a cascade of supporting declarations from other younger spacefaring races. Yara's neural interface flashes crimson. Her crystalline fingers grasp Eric's arm as she transfers speaking authority, her voice barely audible. I authorize the human representative to continue our petition. Her eyes cloud over as the reset begins, but her legal authorization remains valid in the chamber's systems. The security drones hover in place, their targeting systems active but unable to proceed without clear consensus. The chamber's environmental systems adjust to compensate for the rising heat signatures of agitated delegates. High Chancellor Kexler's telepathic presence floods the neural network. This observer has violated multiple security protocols. The Drachnid delegation demands immediate sanctions against both the human representative and his species membership application. Eric's neural interface displays the statistical model's data points, highlighting the Voxari's unprecedented problem-solving capabilities, their unique approach to engineering challenges, the innovations that emerged from their daily reset cycle. The evidence streams through the chamber's network, impossible to ignore or dismiss. Security drones circle the podium as Eric continues his presentation, their sensors tracking his every movement. The Emergency Diplomatic Committee's symbol appears on the chamber's main display, the archivists of Terminus Prime preparing to convene. Around him, delegates divide into factions, their neural signatures clustering into opposed groups within the chamber's network. Eric's interface warns him of incoming communication from Earth emergency protocols from the diplomatic corps, orders to stand down, warnings about the consequences of his actions. He allows the messages to queue while he accesses another historical database, preparing to reveal more evidence about the Voxari's contributions to galactic civilization. Eric's neural interface chimes with an incoming encrypted transmission, its priority override cutting through the queued diplomatic messages. The sender identification displays Dr. Sarah Henderson's credentials from Europa Station. The data package downloads directly into his neural buffer, raw research findings streaming through his consciousness. The information crystallizes into understanding. Images of Voxari neural scans, environmental data from their homeworld, and evolutionary models coalesce into a stunning revelation. Their daily reset wasn't a defect, it was survival. Honorable delegates, Eric broadcasts through the chamber's network, his voice steady despite the security drones hovering meters from his position. I present new evidence from Earth's Xenobiology Division. The chamber's hollow fields shift as he uploads Dr. Henderson's data. Three-dimensional models materialize, showing the devastating solar radiation cycles of the Voxari homeworld. Next to them, neural pathway diagrams demonstrate how daily resets prevented accumulated damage, preserving their species through eons of evolution. This supposed limitation enabled the development of the most sophisticated automation protocols in known space, Eric continues, accessing historical archives. Every critical system, every technological advancement, engineered to function within their natural cognitive cycle. High Chancellor Kexler rises from his seat, scales filled. This is speculation without. The chamber's hollow fields flicker as Eric breaches the Drachnid engineering archives. Security Administrator Reynolds' countermeasures engage simultaneously, blocking incoming cyber attacks while maintaining the connection. Technical specifications for Drachnid warships appear, highlighting components reverse engineered from Voxari designs. The Drachnid Empire's latest stellar drives incorporate Voxari automation principles, Eric projects, marking the relevant sections. The same principles they publicly denounce as inferior. Ambassador NXLI's bioluminescent patterns pulse with increasing intensity. The Centaurian delegation moves to examine these findings immediately. Their neural signature connects with Earth's embassy, where Ambassador Hunter's digital presence joins the network. Holographic displays materialize throughout the chamber as the emergency diplomatic committee convenes. Chief Archivist Tekler's ancient form appears in the central deliberation pod, surrounded by data streams. Present your evidence, human representative, Tekler broadcasts, their neural patterns radiating authority. The chamber's environmental systems adjust as more species join the digital discourse. Eric channels Dr. Henderson's research through his interface, presenting evolutionary models, technological analyses, and historical records. Security Administrator Reynolds' protocols deflect increasing attempts to corrupt the data stream. Yara stirs at the podium, her crystalline skin regaining clarity as the reset cycle completes. Her neural interface pulses with renewed energy as she accesses her species' genetic memory bank. Our ancestors developed automated stellar navigation while the Drachnid still sailed on solar winds, she projects, her consciousness fresh and unclouded. The chamber's security network alerts to multiple intrusion attempts. Dr. Reynolds' countermeasures engage, creating secure channels for data verification. Eric's interface displays fractional patterns within the Council's historical records, deliberate manipulations spanning centuries. Ambassador Hunter's presence intensifies in the neural network. Earth proposes an immediate review of species classification criteria, he broadcasts, based on technological contribution rather than biological characteristics. The Proxima Coalition's chief delegate adds their support, followed by a cascade of emerging spacefaring races. High Chancellor Kexler's scales flatten against his skull as he watches his alliance crumble. Eric's neural interface flashes with a priority alert from Earth. Tactical data shows Drachnid fleet movements near human space, their formations suggesting military intent rather than routine patrol patterns. The Security Council's warning scrolls across his vision. Diplomatic situation critical. Proceed with extreme caution. The encrypted evidence of classification manipulation pulses in Eric's neural buffer, its implications threatening to reshape the Council's power structure. Chief Archivist Tekler signals the committee's readiness to vote on the proposed reforms. Security drones adjust their positions as Eric prepares his next transmission, their sensors tracking every movement in the increasingly tense chamber. The weight of Earth's warning competes with the encrypted data in his neural interface, each demanding different courses of action. Eric accessed his neural buffer, filtering the encrypted data through advanced analysis protocols. The evidence of classification manipulation demanded action, but a direct release would destabilize the entire council. He initiated secure diplomatic channels to selected moderate council members, transmitting carefully chosen segments that highlighted the systematic nature of species suppression, without revealing the full scope of the conspiracy. Ambassador Hunter's presence intensified in the neural network. Operation Firewall is active, he transmitted on a private channel. Automated defense satellites moving into position near Sol and Proxima Centauri. Non-aggressive stance maintained. The chamber's holofields flickered as Dr. Reynolds' team engaged with increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. His neural signature pulsed with urgency as he traced the intrusion attempts. Source located, Reynolds projected through the secure channel. Unauthorized facility on Nexus Prime's third moon. They're accessing centuries of altered classification data. Yara's crystalline form straightened, her neural interface stabilizing after the reset. She accessed the genetic memory bank, her consciousness connecting to generations of stored experience. The daily reset enabled us to develop unique AI safety protocols, she broadcast. Our neural architecture prevented cascade failures in artificial intelligence systems. Holographic displays materialized, showing historical instances of prevented AI rebellions. The technical specifications matched safety systems present in modern Starship systems credited to Drachnid engineering teams. Admiral Harrison's tactical update flashed through the neural network. 3 Drachnid battle groups entering Proxima Centauri, claiming routine exercises. Ambassador NXLI's bioluminescent patterns shifted to warning colors. The Centaurian delegation proposes an immediate mutual defense agreement between our species, humanity, the Voxari, and aligned powers. Movement near the Drachnid delegation drew attention. Dr. Vexna stood, her scaled form distinct from her male counterparts. The evolutionary data supporting Drachnid supremacy is falsified, she projected, uploading authenticated research results. Our claimed genetic superiority lacks scientific basis. High Chancellor Kexther's scales darkened with rage, but before he could respond, the chamber's security systems blared. Multiple quantum transportation signatures materialized near the central database access point. Commander Zexther appeared with a team of armed operatives, their weapons targeting the database cores. Security breach in progress, Chief Torres broadcast from Earth's embassy. Deploying countermeasures. Electromagnetic pulses rippled through the chamber, disabling the Drachnid weapons while leaving the shielded computer systems intact. The operatives' advanced targeting systems flickered and died. Eric connected to Dr. Reynolds' secure channel. Implementing Voxari data protection protocols, he transmitted, initiating the system designed to preserve information through neural resets. The database cores pulsed with new security measures, their defenses adapting to each attack attempt. Long-range sensor data streamed through the neural network, more Drachnid warships approaching from multiple vectors. Ambassador Hunter's neural signature carried encrypted intelligence about growing dissent within the Drachnid Empire. The Emergency Committee's preliminary findings appeared on the main display as security forces secured Commander Zexther's team. Eric's neural interface processed mounting tactical data while filtering diplomatic updates from Earth. The next phase would determine whether reform or conflict would reshape galactic society. Security drones repositioned around the chamber as Ambassador Hunter initiated emergency communications with moderate Drachnid factions. The increasing military presence in nearby systems demanded immediate action, but the complex political dynamics required careful navigation. Eric's neural interface connected to Earth's defense network, monitoring the positioning of automated satellites while maintaining his focus on the diplomatic crisis unfolding in the chamber. The encrypted evidence continued to pulse in his neural buffer, each data point representing another piece in the centuries-long conspiracy of species suppression. A priority alert flashed through Eric's neural interface General Thexgar's authentication codes, transmitted on secure military channels. The moderate Drachnid faction had launched their move against the hardliners. Incoming transmission from Drachnid Command. Eric broadcast through the Chamber's network. General Thexgar reports successful seizure of primary military installations in sectors 7 through 13. Ambassador Hunter's digital presence surged with new tactical data. Proxima Centauri Defense Grid confirms 2 Drachnid battle groups have lowered weapons and transmitted moderate faction codes. The 7th and 9th fleets now align with General Thexgar. Eric interfaced with Dr. Reynolds' cybersecurity protocols, initiating a mass data broadcast through the Council's emergency channels. Historical records, technical specifications, and verified evidence of classification manipulation streamed to every connected system in known space. Holographic displays throughout the chamber illuminated with Voxari Engineering Schematics revolutionary automation systems that now formed the backbone of multiple species starship designs. The chamber's main display flickered as High Chancellor Kexler accessed the central controls. His scales darkened to deep crimson as he initiated a hidden command sequence. Security breach detected, Dr. Reynolds projected. Quantum-level corruption spreading through historical archives. Analysis confirms Drachnid viral signature. Yara's crystalline form pulsed with recognition. The reset protocols they can protect the data. Our neural architecture naturally resists cascade failures. Eric connected to the medical channel as Dr. James Hunter's transport pod docked at the station. The xenobiologist's expertise would be crucial for what came next. Dr. Hunter, we need to modify Voxari memory transfer protocols for non-native data storage. The entire historical archive is at risk. Security Chief Tor's team secured the server room perimeter as Dr. Reynolds isolated corrupted database segments. Dr. Vexna transmitted authentication codes from her position near the Drachnid delegation, allowing Reynolds' team to contain portions of the spreading virus. Admiral Harrison reports 3rd Battle Group advancing on Nexus Prime, Ambassador Hunter broadcast. Remaining loyal to Kexler, combined mid-tier species fleet moving to defensive positions. The Chamber's tactical display updated with new sensor data as Earth's first expeditionary fleet took position near the L4 Lagrange point. Their electromagnetic weapon systems powered up, creating a protective screen around the Council capital. Dr. Hunter arrived at the central medical bay, his neural interface connecting with Dr. Henderson's research team. Beginning modification of Voxari transfer protocols. Yara, your neural architecture will need to process approximately 8 exabytes of historical data. The strain will be significant. Yara's crystalline structure shifted as she accessed her species' genetic memory banks. I accept the risk. My people's technology has been denied recognition for too long. New tactical alerts flashed through the network. Kexler's flagship departing the Drachnid homeworld with his inner circle aboard. General Thexgar's forces had secured the planet, but the hardline leadership had escaped with control of advanced weapons systems. Prometheus has arrived with 2nd Expeditionary Fleet, Admiral Harrison transmitted. Enhanced electromagnetic weaponry online. Forming defensive screen around Nexus Prime. Eric coordinated with Dr. Hunter's team as they prepared Yara for the data transfer. Her crystalline form was connected to specialized interfaces, her neural patterns synchronized with the Council's archives. Dr. Reynolds' team fought to contain the quantum virus as it consumed more historical records. Transfer protocols prepared, Dr. Hunter broadcast. Beginning emergency data preservation sequence. The Chamber's environmental systems adjusted as Yara's crystalline structure began to pulse with stored information. Historical records flowed through her neural architecture, protected by the same mechanisms that preserved her species' genetic memory through their daily resets. New sensor contacts appeared on tactical displays Kexther's flagship, leading a battle group toward Nexus Prime. The combined fleet of moderate species moved to intercept, while Earth's electromagnetic weapons created a protective envelope around the Council capital. Security drones tracked multiple threats as Eric coordinated between the medical team, defense forces, and diplomatic channels. Yara's crystalline form pulsed with increasing intensity as more data flowed into her neural architecture, each pulse preserving another segment of galactic history from Kexther's digital assault. The floor beneath Eric's feet vibrated as Kexther's flagship materialized from hyperspace, its massive form casting a shadow over Nexus Prime's orbital plane. 3 experimental dreadnoughts emerged alongside it, their angular hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. High-energy signatures detected. Admiral Harrison's voice cut through the neural network. Those aren't standard Drachnid warships. The S Prometheus advanced to the head of Earth's fleet, its electromagnetic arrays humming to life. Captain Sarah Hunter's tactical data streamed through the network as she positioned her vessel between the Drachnid ships and the Council headquarters. In the medical bay, Yara's crystalline structure pulsed with increasing frequency as Dr. Henderson monitored the data transfer. Archive preservation at 60%, she projected. Neural load approaching critical threshold. Dr. James Hunter's fingers danced across biomedical interfaces, adjusting neural stabilization fields around Yara's form, implementing emergency protein synthesis to strengthen memory center connections. We need to maintain transfer speed without compromising structural integrity. Security Chief Torres positioned combat drones at key junction points leading to the medical bay. His teams established overlapping fields of fire, their weapons calibrated to detect Drachnid biological signatures. Eric transmitted tactical data through the fleet network, highlighting formation positions based on previously suppressed Voxari battle records. Adjust shield harmonics to these frequencies, he broadcast. The Voxari discovered this defensive configuration centuries ago. The first attack came without warning. Quantum-tipped missiles streaked from Kexther's flagship, their warheads leaving distortion trails in space. The Prometheus's electromagnetic pulse array flared, catching the weapons in a web of energy that caused them to detonate harmlessly. Primary capacitors depleted, Captain Hunter reported, redirecting power from secondary systems. Shield coverage at 40%. Dr. Reynolds's neural signature flashed with urgency. New quantum virus detected in backup systems, implementing modified reset protocols. The Council's networks flickered as Voxari defensive algorithms activated, creating a perpetually shifting firewall that the virus couldn't penetrate. Commander Marcus Wolf's strike team launched from the S Hyperion, their stealth shuttle barely visible against the backdrop of space. Approaching target vector, Wolf transmitted. Drachnid moderates confirm internal layout of flagship. Eric connected to Dr. Vexna's secure channel, processing tactical data streams from compromised Drachnid networks. The quantum resonance device's signature appeared on their displays, its energy pattern matching the frequency of Voxari neural architecture. The device is tied directly to their primary power core, Dr. Vexna projected. Deactivating it will require precise timing. The space around Nexus Prime erupted in electromagnetic fire as Earth's vessels engaged Kexther's dreadnoughts. The Prometheus executed a series of precise maneuvers, drawing enemy fire while the Second Expeditionary Fleet moved into optimal attack positions. Inside the medical bay, Yara's vital signs fluctuated dangerously. Transfer at 80%, Dr. Henderson announced. Neural pathway stability decreasing. Dr. Hunter's hands moved rapidly across control interfaces. We need access to the central computer core. Human neural interface protocols could stabilize the transfer, but the core is currently under heavy fire. Long-range sensors lit up with new contacts. Additional Drachnid vessels appeared at the system's edge, their transponders broadcasting unfamiliar identification codes. Unknown Drachnid fleet approaching from heading 347, Admiral Harrison transmitted. No response to authentication requests. Commander Wolf's team breached the outer hull of Kexther's flagship, entering through maintenance shaft Delta, he reported. Moderate Drachnid forces moving to secure secondary engineering. The Prometheus's electromagnetic weapons created cascading failures in the nearest dreadnought's shield grid. Captain Hunter coordinated with General Thexgar's vessels, concentrating fire on the exposed sections. Eric processed multiple data streams simultaneously, coordinating between Wolf's boarding team, the fleet engagement, and the ongoing data transfer. The unknown Drachnid fleet's approach added another layer of complexity to an already precarious situation. Yara's crystalline form emitted a high-frequency pulse as another segment of historical data transferred into her genetic memory bank. Security drones tracked movement in the corridors outside the medical bay as Dr. Hunter worked to stabilize her neural patterns. The battle for Nexus Prime's future played out across multiple fronts in space, through computer networks, and within the Council headquarters itself. Victory would require unprecedented coordination between species that had spent centuries divided by artificial barriers and manipulated classifications. The unknown Drachnid vessels transmitted their identification codes to the scientific coalition led by Admiral Nexvi. Their fleet took position alongside General Thexgar's forces, creating a strategic encirclement of Kexther's remaining ships. Commander Wolf's team split at Junction 7 Alpha. Strike team, advance on bridge, Wolf transmitted through encrypted channels. Lieutenant Rodriguez, take Wang and technical team to locate that device. The Prometheus executed a precise series of maneuvers, drawing concentrated fire from all three dreadnoughts. Captain Sarah Hunter's fingers danced across tactical controls. All power to electromagnetic arrays, initiating full-spectrum pulse. Energy cascaded from the Prometheus's weapon ports, washing over the enemy vessels in waves of blue-white light. The dreadnought's primary weapons went dark as their power systems temporarily failed. Several neutral species vessels broke formation, moving to support the Allied fleet's defensive screen. Inside the medical bay, Yara's crystalline structure emitted warning pulses. Neural pathway degradation accelerating, Dr. Henderson announced, connecting additional monitoring equipment. Standard transfer protocols failing. Dr. Hunter activated the modified human interface system, beginning integration with Earth diplomatic neural architecture. Yara, your consciousness will partially merge with our network. The human pathways should help process the data load. The interface activated. Yara's form stabilized as the new neural channels distributed the strain across multiple systems. The data transfer reached 90% completion as historical records continued flowing through her consciousness. Eric processed incoming tactical data. Commander Wolf's team engaging Kexther's guards in close-quarters combat, while Rodriguez's group navigated maintenance tunnels toward the device's energy signature. Dr. Reynolds, status of network security. Multiple quantum virus signatures detected, Reynolds projected. They're activating simultaneously across all Council systems. Tracing origin, these were planted years ago. Security, Chief Torres positioned his teams at key chokepoints around the medical bay. Combat drones tracked movement in adjacent corridors as Drachnid loyalists attempted to breach their perimeter. Torres implemented defensive formations based on recovered Voxari tactical data, anticipating and countering each assault. The Prometheus shuddered as a loyalist support vessel executed a ramming maneuver. Hull breach, decks 3 through 7, Captain Hunter broadcast. activating regenerative systems. The ship's experimental hull configuration engaged, previously inert panels shifting to seal damaged sections. The Voxari-inspired technology performed exactly as designed, maintaining structural integrity despite catastrophic damage. Lieutenant Rodriguez's team reached the device's location in auxiliary engineering. "Sir, we have a problem," he transmitted. "Device is active, countdown sequence initiated." Chief Wang accessed the nearest engineering terminal. Power distribution network has a critical vulnerability. If we overload the quantum capacitors in sequence, we might be able to force a shutdown. On the flagship's bridge, Wolf's assault team cornered Kexler behind a barricade of twisted metal. The High Chancellor's scales had darkened to near black as he activated hidden controls. "You cannot stop what I've set in motion. The inferior species must be contained." The data transfer reached 95% completion. Dr. Henderson's monitors flashed urgent warnings. "Neural load approaching terminal threshold. We need more power for the interface systems." "Diverting power will leave the shields vulnerable," Eric projected through the network. "We'll have a 4 to 5 second window with minimal defenses." Admiral Harrison coordinated with Admiral Nexvi's vessels, establishing a quantum containment field around Nexus Prime. The blue-green barrier materialized between layers of space, preventing Kexler from transmitting additional activation codes. Lieutenant Rodriguez's team worked to disable the quantum device as its countdown reached critical levels. Chief Wang accessed power distribution controls while security teams held position at adjacent corridors. The device's energy signature increased steadily, threatening to disable quantum technology throughout the surrounding space. Eric integrated tactical data from multiple sources, calculating precise timing requirements. They needed to reduce shield power for the neural transfer while preventing Kexler's remaining weapons from targeting the Council headquarters. The next few minutes would determine the future of multiple species civilizations. The device's countdown continued as Wang accessed its core systems. Rodriguez maintained security while Wolf's team advanced on Kexler's position. In the medical bay, Yara's crystalline structure pulsed with increasing intensity as the final segments of historical data processed through the human Voxari neural interface. Eric's neural processors integrated the tactical data streams, calculating shield coverage patterns and timing variables. Admiral Harrison, execute Operation Umbrella. Captain Hunter, position Prometheus at these coordinates. The Allied fleet moved with precision, their vessels forming a protective dome around Nexus Prime. Shield harmonics synchronized as the ships adjusted their positions, creating overlapping fields of energy that would protect the Council headquarters during its vulnerable moment. On Kexler's flagship, Commander Wolf's team engaged the High Chancellor's remaining guards in close combat. Plasma bolts scorched the bridge's walls as Wolf's Marines utilized their enhanced combat suits to outmaneuver the larger Drachnid soldiers. "Chancellor located," Wolf transmitted, tracking Kexler's movement toward a hidden panel. "He's accessing something in the command console." A slender figure emerged from the shadows behind Wolf's position. Dr. Vexna moved with practiced efficiency, her scaled fingers dancing across the nearest terminal. Override codes activated. Quantum transmitter disabled. Kexler snarled, reaching for his personal shield generator. Wolf launched forward, his augmented muscles propelling him across the bridge. His shoulder connected with the Chancellor's midsection before the shield could activate. They crashed into the deck plating, Wolf smoothly transitioning into a joint lock that pinned the larger Drachnid. In auxiliary engineering, Chief Wang's diagnostic equipment detected a familiar pattern in the device's power signature. "Lieutenant, the core architecture is Voxari-based." Accessing reset protocols now. Rodriguez maintained defensive position as Wang modified the reset sequence. The device's countdown reached single digits. Wang's fingers flew across the interface, implementing the modified protocol. The device's displays flickered, cycling through startup sequences before powering down completely. The timer froze at 3 seconds. Device neutralized, Rodriguez reported through the tactical network. Engineering section secured. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Henderson's monitoring equipment registered the final phase of neural transfer, initiating power reduction to Council shields, transfer completing in 4 to 5 seconds. Security Chief Tor's teams moved into formation around the medical bay's perimeter. Combat drones established interlocking fields of fire as the Council's defensive screens powered down. The Allied fleet's overlapping shields cast blue-green patterns across the headquarters windows as they absorbed incoming fire. The Prometheus's hull rippled, regenerative panels shifting to repair battle damage as Captain Hunter positioned the ship directly above the Council complex. All electromagnetic arrays at maximum power, executing defensive screen. Waves of electromagnetic energy pulsed from the ship's weapon ports, creating a web of destructive interference that detonated incoming missiles before they could reach their targets. The remaining Loyalist vessels' weapons faltered against the combined defensive screen. Dr. Reynolds's cybersecurity protocols activated throughout the Council's networks, purging years of dormant virus code. The modified Voxari reset sequence spread through compromised systems, restoring proper functionality sector by sector. Yara's crystalline structure stabilized as the final data segments transferred successfully. Her neural patterns distributed across the backup arrays, processing countless generations of historical records. The genetic memory bank incorporated each piece of recovered information, protected by the natural reset adaptation that had once been seen as a limitation. General Thexgar's vessels surrounded the remaining Loyalist ships, while Admiral Nexvi's scientific coalition secured their weapon systems. Commander Wolf marched a restrained Kexther through the Council headquarters corridors, the former High Chancellor's scales now a dull gray. The Emergency Diplomatic Committee convened in their secondary chamber. Representatives from dozens of species reviewed the recovered historical data, examining centuries of manipulated classifications. The vote for system reform passed without a single dissenting voice. Yara stood at the podium in the restored Grand Assembly chamber, her crystalline form refracting light across the gathered delegates. The Voxari accept this recognition not as validation, but as an opportunity to share our innovations openly with all species. Our daily neural reset is not a weakness. It drove us to develop the genetic memory system that now preserves our true history. Eric transmitted tactical data to the Burns Voxari Initiative's prototype vessel. The ship incorporated electromagnetic arrays based on the Prometheus's design, automated with advanced Voxari protocols, and powered by refined Drachnid quantum cores. Its crew roster included members from multiple species, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities. Final systems check complete, Captain Hunter transmitted from the prototype's bridge. Preparing for launch sequence,